Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the next video in my 12 Days of OT Christmas series. Today, by request from a lovely viewer, I'm going to be sharing with you some of my go-to fine motor activities. If you're new here, my name is Arwen. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. I'm working primarily in home health with children under the age of 3. So just to re-emphasize, these are going to be very simple, very basic fine motor activities. We'll talk a little bit about how to grade them up and down, how to determine if they are appropriate. I know sometimes being a new grad can be challenging and it's difficult to be creative. Don't worry, I still struggle with creativity. These activities that I'm going to show you are going to use everyday household items. So there's nothing fancy, there is no equipment needed. Most of these things should be able to be found in most households. Nothing is expensive, everything should be easily accessible to the therapist and the parent that maybe you're going to be demonstrating these to. And before we officially jump in, 2 more things. I want to say, as a new grad or as a new therapist or any therapist, one of the things that I think is so important to remember is cost. So please consider costs when you are making therapeutic recommendations, when you're giving a family an activity to do at home, or you're showing something to them in the clinic. Remember, they're not going to have that at home, right? So you need to think about what can they actually replicate when they're at home or when you are not with them. So please consider that. And then the second thing is, an activity can only do so much, right? These activities are only as good as the person using them, and you really need to, they can only do so much. So it's up to you to customize them and make them fun for your client, for your kiddo that you're treating. Again, these are just the basics, and then have as much fun as possible, right? Again, some of these things might seem silly, but to the kids, they're not, right? If you present it in the most fun and exciting way and you're enthusiastic and it shows, then they're gonna buy into it, right? If you're just like, okay, yeah, okay, do the next one, okay, yeah, pick up the next one. It's freaking boring, okay? I love pediatrics because you can be the most silly, insane person and the kids are gonna love you for it, okay? So summon your inner child, okay? Let's go back to childhood, and let's have some fun. So step 1, containers, containers, containers. Keep all containers. I'm gonna go through and show you a couple of container ideas right now. The first one being the most basic. So if you're just trying to work on basic container play, so putting things in, taking things out, I like to use this dish detergent container. It's got a nice little opening so you can open and close it. You know, you can put little things. You know, if you want to put bigger items in here. Oh, I don't have my car. Whatever you've got. If you want to put little deer, and then you close it and you open it. You know, so step 1 in fine motor development is putting things in, taking things out. So if you're really just working on the basics with the little one, really any sort of container is going to be good. So when we think about container play and grading it up or down, so if we're working on putting something in, one way to grade it up or down is to narrow the hole, right? So with this, you know, we've got a really big opening. So if we want to start grading it, making it a little bit more challenging, one way we can do that is to work on precision and accuracy and decreasing the size of the hole. One way that you can do that pretty easily is by finding containers that have these plastic lids. So this one comes from an oatmeal container. These are really nice because you can cut them. So I've cut like a little X through mine. But you can cut them to whatever size or shape that you want. So if you're looking for something really specific and you want to make your own shape sorter, you know, that's what this is representing, right? It's a homemade shape sorter kind of. This is a almond container, so any sort of nut container usually has that same sort of plastic lid that you can cut pretty easily. I'll usually just bend it. And then what are the things we're gonna put in there? Well, for myself, I like to use pom-poms. I like to use straws. You know, pom-poms, you can really work on, if you're working on maybe doing some isolation, that DIP joint, you know, making sure that they're flexing it. A lot of times if you have hypermobility or just poor hand strength, you know, you can work on them really pushing it in. You know, if you're working on, you know, ulnar tuck, you can have them use 3 fingers to push it in. If you are trying to isolate that ulnar tuck, sometimes I will have them hold something, you know, don't let it fall, don't let it fall. So have them hold something and keep that ulnar tuck while they're also trying to do other things. So that would be an ultimate grade up if you're really trying to maybe focus on ulnar tuck, and then while also doing a little bit more precision with maybe their pincer, their tripod grasp. Other containers that are really great are spice containers. So this is an old seasoning container. It's got the perfect openings for little straws, and you can drop them right in. Again, when we're thinking about grading, making it harder, this is another way to grade it up and make it a little bit more challenging. Again, you're really narrowing the holes. This is a honey container. It's a little bit sticky. I need to finish cleaning this one off. This one, the straw barely fits. I mean, it's like a perfect size. So you can drop it in. And it's fun to have clear containers because then they can see what's falling in there. Shake it up. I like this container because then you can work on unscrewing and twisting and then dumping them out. So those are some basic ideas for container play, working on precision and accuracy of release. You can also, I know a lot of people will use playing cards, so they'll cut a very narrow slit into one of these lids and work on placing the card that way. Just trying to give y'all a couple more ideas. You know, and maybe you're working on sequencing. Maybe you're working on matching. So maybe in addition to the fine motor activity, you have them find all the red cards, or you have them find all the 3s, or you have them find the one with faces. I mean, you know, make it your own. Turn it into whatever you need to focus on for that client. If you start thinking about bilateral hand skills and maybe using your hands together, not like a sequenced movement, but using them more functionally together. So, you know, when you tie your shoelace, right, you're using both of your hands together, but they're doing different things. If you've got pipe cleaners, and again, straws are incredible. You know, putting things on and off is a great way, a simple way to work on using your hands together, using those bilateral skills. And you can use anything, right? You can use teeny tiny beads if you want to make it hard. So that's something that's really little. Again, if you're working on just isolating the thumb and the index finger, you know, taking it on and off. If they're not able to do something that small, you know, you can use something bigger, right? It's still precise, but maybe holding the straw is going to be a little bit easier. Or maybe you put them on and they take them off and they dump them in. Taking off is going to be much easier than putting on. You can also turn the dowel rod, whatever you're using, you can turn it vertical, and then they've got to put it on this way, which to me is much harder because they can't see the opening. So this is, in my opinion, more challenging than using this way. But again, if you have this placed in something, you're taking away that bilateral focus, but still working on more precision and accuracy at that point. Pipe cleaners are an amazing tool for an OT. You can make necklaces, you can make bracelets, you can make little crowns or hats. Other things that are really easy to access are shoelaces. So again, if we're working on using our hands together, needling it through. Shoelaces, this is a shoelace, and then there's just a button here on the end to kind of catch it. Another thing to think about is preparatory activities. So if a lot of times we're dealing with kiddos that have low muscle tone or poor grip strength, weak hand muscles, so I love to use chip clips. They come in lots of varieties. You know, it could be as simple as an exercise, you know, open the mouth 5 times. You know, you can play games where, you know, you've got to pick up the pom-pom and drop it in, you know, whatever you want to do, make it fun. Making sure, again, that they're using the correct finger placement, the correct muscles. I have overextension, so you don't want them to be squeezing like this, right? Because that's not using the correct muscles. I have to focus on not doing that. But if you see this, please know that's not what you want. You want them to be using the right muscles. Pay attention. We don't want that over hyperextension of those joints, right? This bad, this good. You want to look out for, I don't know if you can see my thumb, but it is overextended. So again, I have very lax joints, so make sure that that muscle, that IP joint is flexed and not overextended right there. Clothespins are a very popular option. I don't think I may not be telling you anything new, but clothespins, if you're really just isolating those two, this one's much easier. So when we think about grading something up and down, this has much less resistance than this. So thinking about the resistance, the hand position, supinated, pronated, 3 fingers versus 2 fingers. What are we picking up? Are we picking up something really small? You know, are we trying to pick up something really small? Are we trying to pick up something bigger? Where are we placing it? And, you know, the ultimate challenge, right, is being super precise. So I think this is probably the most cruel activity, you know, but using little tweezers, using tweezers is going to promote the most accuracy, the most demand, in my opinion. I don't have anything small, and I don't know. Let's see. Can I pick up? Let's set up a fine motor challenge for me. Let's see. So can I pick this up and drop it in? I was picking up this very small bead. If we wanted to grade that activity up and their hands were big enough, you can use extra big tongs, kitchen tongs. Everyone has at least a pair in their kitchen. So squeezing together, you know, picking up the balls, dropping them in. And again, I know these seem really basic, but you can add to this, right? So maybe they're scootering across the room and they get there, they pick it up and they put it in. Maybe they're doing hopscotch across the room. Maybe they're walking on a balance beam and then they're picking it up and bringing it all the way back and dropping it in. You know, these are just the basics, and then you can build upon that. Whew, it's a lot of activities. I'm just throwing them at you. So I think that is enough activities for one day, for one video. Some final thoughts and reflections. Yes, these activities are focused on fine motor skills, but as occupational therapists, we're looking through the lens of full body function, right? you cannot ignore posture, you can't ignore vision, you can't ignore muscle tone. You know, you have to address maybe some underlying deficits in order to get to this point. Or some of these activities are going to be addressing just that, right? But just make sure you don't forget that the hand is connected to the wrist. You know, it's a full body connection. So, you know, the kid could be doing this and they're like hunched over and they have terrible posture. You know, one of the things that I recall so much from OT school is that you need proximal stability before distal mobility. But that's absolutely true, right? So if you need to target more core strengthening, more visual spatial activities, do those things first, right? Or if the kid has difficulty sitting and attending, you know, do those preparatory things to get them to be able to do something that it requires such precision and accuracy. And again, make it your own, right? So anyone can do these activities, right? Any parent or any teacher can probably do these same activities. But what makes us important and unique and what makes us have our job is our ability to pick the right activity for the right child, pick it in a way that's going to meet their specific needs, to know when it's too challenging, to know when to grade it up and down, to know the specifics of how the hand should be used. Like I said, you know, parents at home could be doing this activity, but if their kid's hand is maybe not in the right position, it's not going to really be benefiting that child in any way. So again, you know, these may seem like very simple activities, but when they are applied through an occupational lens and through our expertise, that's when it becomes OT, right? Not the activity, it's how we are using it and implementing it. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind because, you know, these might seem like really simple things like, yeah, anyone can do it, but it is the way that you are doing it that matters. So I think I will leave y'all with that. I want y'all to feel empowered and I don't want y'all to feel unsupported. You know, even as I'm sitting here right now, there's lots of other things that I would love to show y'all. So hopefully I can make a part 2, do some more complex fine motor skills, fine motor activities. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.